you are.
Welcome to the stage where all the pizzazz and extra stuff happens, but it is so necessary.
I like to keep things casual, so you can just call me Angela. And I am the drama teacher. I teach you everything you need to know about characters, especially in LPS series.
Or in LPS movies, or short films, but you get the gist. In every series or film, you always see characters, and there's multiple characters, and usually the characters are not the same.
Whether that be that they have such exquisite personalities that set them apart from every other character in the series, or the way they dress just already describes the personality.
I have a few tips on when you curate your characters for your series. How can you make them stand apart? How can you make them memorable? And how can you make them a fan favorite?
Tip number 1. Names. Names that match the LPS.
But how do you find unique LPS names that really suit the LPS? Try searching girl baby names, or boy baby names.
A lot of the time you will find websites and blogs with a whole bunch of name ideas for people who are expecting babies, but obviously you do not need to have a child, and you can simply just use them to name plastic figurines.
Number 2. Personalities.
For the rest of today's session, I've invited 3 of my star pupils to demonstrate characters.
Here are the students I chose. Now obviously 2 of them are non-main 5s and 1 is a main 5.
I would like to clarify, you do not need main 5s to make a series or film successful. Simply, a lot of that depends on other things, which you'll get to in your later courses, but I just want to make that very, very clear. In this example, we are going to have this cat play the main character, and she's just short hair cat just because they're easy to put outfits on. Here is going to be her superly bubbly best friend, and here is just going to be some nerd guy who's sort of actually cool. How did I pick these LPS?
I simply just loved the color usage that Hasbro used to design the LPS, and I also just really love the design, especially on the rabbit. I think it's so cute, and just the molds are super fun. So that is how I simply choose LPS. It's just LPS I don't really use a lot in series and films, and something that you can just use to give the eyes a little fresh hint.
Sometimes simply by just looking at an LPS, you can tell, this is the vibe you give me and that's the character I'm going to make you into. Then you can start forming a story around that specific personality of that character. Like if you have a really edgy kid, you want to have a super edgy story about them, and then maybe they'll have a character development arc where they'll turn into like a completely changed and better person. And you know, you can just go along and make little background stories for each character. It really helps.
I really think that just listing out a few attributes about each character can really help if you're struggling with this idea. If you don't know what type of character you want to make each pet, you can go ahead and list just some adjectives about them. But going through and giving them a personality so you actually understand the character. Once you understand the character, you'll be able to play them better, and your viewers will really be able to show. People love having a character they can relate to, whether it's an experience or they have a certain personality type that's very similar to the viewers, and people just love having similar experiences. They can really just relate to that character and feel them on a whole nother level. In Sugar Diamond series Half-Hearted, this is Cammy. And Cammy was a very smart character. She is very academically smart, and she had a lot of common sense. So throughout the series you can see her character start to develop, and she just changed as a person to like what different priorities she had and just how that all changed, but at the same time she stayed very true to herself in some aspects. Now initially when Jen was first creating that series, I believe that she only ever wished that Cammy would just be a smart friend and that she would be the friend that isn't as boy crazy as her other 2 best friends. But as the story and the series progressed, you could see a little more to Cammy, and having a series really helps develop character personalities, as it's a little bit harder in films just because films are a lot shorter and it's sort of a one-time thing unless there's multiple parts, but you know, series is just a lot easier to see that character development. Another example is Desiree. Now Desiree, she just had a lot of edgy vibes, and she usually wears like a little black choker, but she doesn't have it right now. But just her double piercing on one ear just really showed a lot about her character and how she wasn't maybe the best influence to hang around, but she is also a very relatable character. Like, you see a lot of these people in real life of just maybe not making the best choices, but also just enjoying their own life the way that they want to. So that is what she sort of gave off. Now, if you're struggling, like, what to make the character's personality, how can I actually come up with a personality like that? I'm still struggling. Well, here's another idea.
It's all about my favorite thing. Outfits and costume changes, yes! Starting off with the student,
I want him to be smart and edgy, and so I'm thinking a beanie. Now, if you have this particular LPS clothing that you want to use and you think it would fit the character so well but you don't have it, you can always look up DIY tutorials or just get creative for things around home. A lot of LPS clothes you can make from home. Sometimes it is time consuming, but Sugar Diamond has done it in the past, and you know, it's always a great place to start. So here's this character in a beanie, and honestly, it just already gives him a little edgier vibes. It gives him more skater boy vibes, if that's what we were going for. And he's just a little more edgy, but he also looks like he could still be smart. Like, it does not feel like he could be not so bright. Next, I think I want to make this next character super, super girly. Make her as girly as possible. So, what should we do?
a skirt, necklace, and some earrings, perhaps? I would say that this looks pretty girly,
A little bit preppy, and she might be a little bit of a rich kid just because her outfit is so cohesive and all the colors match. So you can say that she's a very put-together student and that she knows what she's really talking about.
However, her friend, on the other hand, is going to have a little bit more of a wild side to her. An outfit like this, where the colors don't necessarily all match, might show that she's a little more wild and she's a little more extravagant in her outfits, and, well, you know, she likes the mismatch. Here is the cast that we have assembled together.
Also, giving your characters different voices can really help. Like, okay, so he's smart and he's a bit of an edgy guy. She's very preppy and she's a little wild and she's a silly friend, so
what voices come to your head? Well, for me, it goes something like this.
Yeah, well, if I didn't know any better, I'd say that's the Pythagorean theorem. I mean, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, obviously, and then you just have to find the hypotenuse and...
Okay, this isn't math class. Next.
Yeah, well, I went shopping to the mall yesterday, actually, and I picked up a new pair of earrings. With my father's credit card, obviously. I would not pay for that, obviously, because I get all my money from my parents, and I just really like that. But sometimes I just feel lost in life, like there's a deeper meaning, but I'm not really sure what it is. All of these words have been not rehearsed at all, and they're just the first words that come to my mind of when I look at this character, this is what I feel like they would say. Monologue type of deal.
Okay, Ashley, well, you know, I'm sure there's a deeper meaning to your life. I mean, you're smart, and you're pretty, and you have a lot of friends, and I aspire to be you, but honestly, sometimes, is that a butterfly?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give it a round for my students. Thank you, students, you're dismissed. Another tip, if you don't have outfits for your LPS, try finding other toys that you have, or other toys that could work. So, Sugar Diamond uses a lot of DIY clothes and a lot of things, and she also uses clothes from Polly Pockets, scrapbook materials from the craft stores as like little bows and flowers to put on her LPS, as well as like the little earrings, you know, the little gems, the stick-on gems. She uses ribbons for dresses and all sorts of things. I hope you learned how you can develop characters and your stories, and just taking characters that you see in films and movies, and adding a little bit of spice to your own character.
It's been a pleasure having you in my class. Break a leg.
Well, how did you enjoy Angela's class? Yeah, did you learn anything?
See you in your next class, all about filming.